Hello, it's Nick from Are You Creative? You might notice the audio is not as good on this episode. It's because somebody messed up recording it. It was me. And thankfully, Marley had his camera running. So we're using the audio from his camera. It was a great chat, so we thought we'd put it out anyway, rather than re-recording it. Anyway, enjoy! Welcome back to Are You Creative podcast from City Sound in Chelmsford, the birthplace of the toaster, single-sided toaster. And we're back. I'm back here with Sangeeta Mitra. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, she's back out of bed, no longer sick. Got over a sciatica. I always called it sciatica. So what is it?
It's sciatica.
It's now called Sangeeta. But yeah, you're back.
He's been drinking too much Coke for this episode.
I'm glad you can laugh. Don't laugh your back out though today, right?
I'm trying not to.
Yeah, that's right. You just chill out over there. And me, Nick Ken, so called creative expert, and we've got another amazing guest here from Essex. From Essex, are you from Essex?
I am indeed from Essex, Colchester, Essex.
Me too. Big up.
Nice.
What's your postcode?
It was CO3 when I was growing up, and then CO1 most recently, right in town.
Oh, CO1 there. Central CO8.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Burcock Road.
Okay, nice.
Love Colchester. Colchester's such a wicked place. Good. You are from Essex. So you're actually like born and raised Essex. You still live in Colchester?
Born and raised. Now we moved to the farm now, where I've got my farm in Bentley in Suffolk. So it's it's just outside. It's a Ipswich postcode IP. Yeah. Which I'm still adjusting to that. So my son is a Nip. He's born. He's
a tractor boy.
He's Ipswich. I know.
Oh, that's incredible.
Me and Laura's still adjusting to that, but yeah.
How's he? Is he already got I know he's only 8 months old, but has he got a Suffolk accent?
It'll be there. I'm sure it's going to come through. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be there.
We want to interview him in another 4 years' time when he's talking.
Nice. Oh, wicked, man. So thanks so much for driving so far to see us today.
Yeah, it's a
That's
pleasure.
incredible.
Thanks for asking me to come.
And our guest here is Marley. So what's your full name?
Marley Karazimba.
Marley Karazimba. Are you creative? Are you creative?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. Creative for sure, yeah.
Yes, that's what we like to hear.
I'm allowed to be here.
Well, this podcast doesn't last very long if people say no. We haven't had it yet, but one day we will. We're just going to chuck them out the window. So get the next guest in. Interview someone else. That's wicked. And Sangeeta, do you know what Marley does?
Right, so I met Marley a good few years ago, and all I knew of Marley at that point was that he was an amazing photographer. I used to watch him walk around when his wife used to do some events, or the council did some events. So that's what I remember, but what Marley actually does, I never did know.
So Marley, tell us what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a filmmaker, photographer, as you said, videographer. That's my main creative output. I also work in community supported agriculture. So I've got a 3-acre farm of my own. I'm a permaculture designer, which obviously the design element especially is creative.
Wow.
And then I'm one of the founding members of a community cooperative in Colchester, and we run a cooperative cafe.
Amazing.
So they're all creative projects as far as I'm concerned.
Have you got so much time to do all this stuff?
Yeah, I haven't, to be fair. I thought I realised now that I haven't.
Yeah,
I thought I did.
You've got to do some dadding as well. Yeah, I can imagine you've probably got like a papoose on there with a baby, like doing your food.
100%.
Taking the food down to the community cafe.
Yeah, he's part of it for sure. Yeah, he comes along already. We bring him where we go.
So what? I mean, where I found out about you, because I saw this amazing thing from Extraordinary Essex, right? Where there's this art commission, which you've just recently been funded from.
Yeah.
To make a film, Don't Fight the Land That Feeds You.
Yeah, that's what it was proposed as. I still like that title, but as it goes on, I'm not 100% committed to the title. I must admit, it's a working title. What the film is about, the kind of tagline is set in stone, which is about the people of Essex and the land that nourishes them. Obviously, as I go around and interview people and capture the scenes from people's growing spaces and farms, the title itself, I think, might get tested, might get changed.
I say, but things can evolve anyway. You might just come up with some brilliant pun name at the end of
Exactly, yeah.
No, probably not a pun name.
You never know. It should be fun as well.
But this is, it's Extraordinary Essex, so it is really, it's about that relationship that people have with the land of Essex.
Sure.
Which is like pretty incredible subject, it's a lot of things a lot of people don't think about, especially when you live in cities and towns.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think obviously that's also part of what I do is working in community supported agriculture, and I didn't grow up with any kind of sense of connection to the land or where food comes from at all. That was not, that's not a culture that's raised me. It's something that I found much later in life.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of felt the benefits of it and the experience of the importance of connection to the land and where our food comes from. And I think having the opportunity to combine what I do and make a film about that and hopefully make something that's visually impressive, that's got a nice soundtrack that people enjoy watching, but then has that kind of deeper, meaningful element to it is, I'm just absolutely buzzing still that Extraordinary Essex commission came my way.
It's so great that you can combine those two passions of your life, like filmmaking as well. And I saw your call out for people to be part of it. I think you've finished the film now, right?
No, it's still in progress. That's why it's nice that you reached out when you did.
Okay. Because you said, even, you could be a farmer with like acres of land or, hectares or whatever. I don't know, is that big than an acre?
Yeah.
Yeah, hectares. Is there anything bigger than a hectare?
I'm sure there is. I
don't know. Or it could just be someone that's growing food in their garden. And,
100%.
You're interested in talking to everyone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, connection, isn't it? Connection to the land. Which, that's it.
So, what sort of people have you chatted to already?
So the larger scale stuff that I've done so far is Benison Farm is a place that I've spent a lot of time. That's a place where I worked. That's where I got kind of my intro to this, really. So that's a great place to start.
What do they do there?
It's an 8-acre CSA, which again CSA means Community Supported Agriculture. So the community support element of that is some people support the farm by paying a direct debit every month. They sign up to say, I'll have a share of whatever it is that you're harvesting. So they're obviously signing up for a sort of hyper-seasonal veg bag. And then that supports the farmer and the farms to just do what they do, and whatever they're harvesting people get. Or they can support the farm by volunteering. So some people will volunteer at a time you can't afford, or if it's not accessible for whatever reason, to have this monthly subscription. Maybe you've got time to pop along and give a few hours help on the farm, so you get that hands-on experience and you leave with your veg.
That's so good. So you can trade. You can trade your time for your veg. I absolutely love that. And do you have like visibility about what they're going to be planting?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So Danny sent, the farmer. Danny sends his emails out to let people know what's happening, what we're planting at this time. Then every week you get your email to see here's what to expect in your veg bag, kind of next week or at the end of the week.
Oh, wicked! And I mean, I do odd box, right? I love
nice. Yeah.
I say to my wife, please, no more Cherville.
Yeah.
And no more it's no more celeriac. It's like odd box, stop trying to palm off the celeriac. I'm sure people are growing celeriac just for odd box.
Yeah.
Now, and it's like stop the celeriac. But I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because farmers, you got to think, you don't know how good your harvest's going to be and what's going to grow well. So like that, just the community spirit in that. Of everyone getting together and helping out. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Shall I start again? I was going on about celeriac, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Hashtag stop the celeriac.
And the parsnips.
Marley, how do you feel about celeriac?
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you mean. There are certain things, especially the root veg, the things that the farmers can store and just give for weeks.
Exactly,
when the other stocks get low, it's like beetroot.
Hang on, mate, I've been toiling for hours in the field and you just give me a bag of celeriac and turnips.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these turnips you can make into a Cornish pasty. Like, celeriac, you can add a little bit to a mashed potato, can't you? It's all right, but, give or take the celeriac.
Yeah,
don't get me started on Cherville.
And that's where you need the creativity, isn't it? It needs to come with like a little cookbook with loads of ideas and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's really, I suppose it's important because you don't want to end up like in monoculture as well and stuff like that in agriculture, right? Like it's great to grow like different things and I was saying something about bananas. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling now, but like.
Yeah, don't we only eat one kind of banana? Like every supermarket has.
Banana. So you're like one banana fungus away from there being no bananas when there used to be like hundreds of different varieties.
Yeah. The diversity thing is. It's not popular really, is it? In agriculture in the UK, when you drive past and you see the field, you see hundreds of acres of the same crops growing.
Yeah.
And they'll obviously be processed and quite often sent overseas or sent to a factory and turned into highly processed cereals and glucose syrup and things added to it. So it's nice when you do find models locally where people are growing a diverse variety of veg and crops, and even though it can seem a bit samey and you can get sometimes the same things, people can have that in their homes and they can base, some of their vegetable intake that's grown locally that's a bit of diversity. It's,
brilliant.
I think it's important.
And how much can, like on 8 acres or your own 3 acres,
how
much different stuff can you actually grow?
Yeah, the variety is, if you've got polytunnels, obviously you can kind of cheat the UK's limitations considerably. So like aubergines and tomatoes. I've got an avocado tree at my place. It's like
look out.
I know, yeah.
Come
It was
on,
like
saying
from
it's a
seed.
guacamole party.
From seed as well.
No way.
I'm not attached to the idea that it's ever going to produce fruit, obviously, but it was from seed in a little like shot glass, and you watch the root come out and wrap around the glass, and now it's like 4 or 5 feet high, and every winter usually I take it in, and it kind of like the leaves die off, but it keeps its life. Whereas this year, because it spent last summer in the polytunnel, now it's like it's in our kitchen, and the leaves are good, the new buds are coming.
Oh mate, have you got like Instagram or something? Do you share like photos? Because I'm gonna be buzzing when you get your first avocado.
That might be revolutionary if I start producing UK grown avocados. That would really change the game. But no, it's there's loads that you can grow in the UK. Like I said, if you've got a greenhouse or you've got a polytunnel, peak season 10, 11 different items in your veg bag potentially.
That's brilliant. And it's seasonal as well. I suppose because you got, if you do like veg bags, you've got to produce them all through the year, so it's encouraging people to eat what's harvested.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the cool thing about it. But I mean, that's Benison Farm, so that's kind of like the largest scale. There's a cool place called Lauriston Farm, which is like 100 acres. I haven't met up with them yet, but that's somewhere I'm definitely planning to feature. They're like on the coast, on the estuary near Malden, so 100 acres. Again, compared to some farms in the UK where it's like thousands of acres, 100 isn't massive, but that's the biggest project that I will feature for this film.
Yeah.
And then I've also been to an organisation called Trust Links, which is a charity, and they've got loads of different sites around Essex. They're one of the cool ones that I hadn't heard about before starting this project, or I've never kind of been to one of their sites, so it's nice to discover what they do.
Community supported agriculture
No,
as well?
so this is, they are an organisation, a charity in place for people who have various different mental health issues. And so they have these community growing spaces, so it's not as serious as the CSA in terms of there's no pressure to actually produce lots of food that people are going to pay for. It's more about going and helping out and experiencing the benefits of being out in nature, and they all have lunch together, use ingredients that are grown as often as possible. So it's more of a therapy gardens, I think they call them.
Amazing. I was doing some research for Sainsbury's once, and about getting kids to eat more veg and stuff, and we found that if people had actually picked something, or dug up a carrot or dug up some potatoes or something, they're more likely to try a new food as well.
Yeah, in most cases. Although a friend of mine who worked with young people and similar, would do stuff in the kitchens, and one time they went and they were harvesting fresh from a place, from an allotment, I guess, and one of the young people remarked, "Oh, I'm not eating that. It's just come out of the ground." It's like a carrot. Yeah, exactly. And so it's like that removal, which is fun and funny, but at the same time, I guess it's like this is what the film's about. Really, it's about trying to reconnect people and remind us before we just completely go, "It doesn't matter. We'll have everything from overseas in plastic bags." It's like trying to make it sort of bring it to the forefront of why it might be important.
I used to have Bulmers as one of my clients, right?
Okay.
And that Bulmers cider. And they actually, once I got the brief, the brief was that people didn't realise that cider came from apples anymore.
Right, yeah.
So, they basically wanted to make a film where they showed their orchards and actually said, look, people are actually growing, these are grown on trees. It's not like some mad chemical process in a lab. You do need to pick apples and make. So we had to remind people about that. It's crazy, isn't it, when people don't realise where their food's come from?
100%, yeah.
I mean, not the cider's food, but it's delicious.
Wow. I'm sure it can be part of a healthy lifestyle, a healthy diet. I'm sure it can.
I'll tell you what, if you're going to be any farmer, be a cider farmer, because this guy was so chilled, right? He was a big farmer, and he said, you do the hard work, you do harvest, and then you prune the trees. Summer, sit back, just let nature do its thing.
Nice.
Look after the bees.
Nice.
All the pollinators and stuff, and just watch the apples grow and wait for the harvest. Just enjoy your cider.
Sounds good, yeah.
Right, so I'm going to go into my little bit of a serious history bit.
Okay.
I want to know, so growing up, you took photography as a course?
Nowhere near.
The bit. Okay, so
not at all.
How did you get into whatever you wanted to do from school and get into videography? Let's go with that journey.
Yeah,
first.
interesting. I was only thinking about sport growing up, football basically. Yeah, I just played football, was convinced I was going to be a professional footballer basically, was in the classroom looking out the window thinking about football essentially, and then went to a football college when I left school, and then even when I decided to go to uni it was based off of the sports facilities, and took football quite seriously there, and was captain at my university.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, isn't it? A lot of young people growing up thinking they're going to be footballers. Had like an offer to go to America and do a scholarship and stuff. You know, there was times when it might have felt a bit close. And then I went to university in East London. And a friend, like my best friend, shout out my friend Drew, he had a camera, one of them who brought like a camera on his bursary, and we lived together and I just would use it. And even like the football final, my university team got to the final of the football, and I made a little film about that and we won, and I just sort of like was filming and did a little edit on some free software or whatever and sent it around to everybody and witnessed the buzz that people got from that. So it was just kind of, when I was in my early 20s was when I was starting to transition a bit into realise, I'm creative actually, like it's nice to do, you know, making beats with my brother, like on the laptop, making music and stuff, and realising, I've got a bit of creativity about me. It's not just strictly like the physical football, which was all I'd known growing up.
Do you think at school was there no one like exposing you to any sort of creative stuff?
Yeah, I hated all of it.
Yeah.
Art classes where there was something at the front of the classroom that you had to try and draw. That was laughable. You know what I mean? I'd take that home with my brothers and my mum, and we'd all laugh at each other. None of us had that kind of, and I thought that's what art is.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and paint what's at the front of the classroom.
That's why they didn't have any sort of like digital camera stuff.
Music. I didn't like any of the. I didn't connect with my music teachers. Didn't like music at all. Like, you know, some of the same software and like little keyboards that I might use now when I'm playing around is fine at school. I was not interested in that at all. Film studies was obviously a thing, but no, it was a lot of things changed in my life in my early 20s, and this creativity and the love for the camera kind of emerged out of that.
Mate, I love that you were like driven then by like seeing the reaction of people to videos. I think that's so important to get like instant feedback and encouragement for anyone that's doing anything creative.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that was nice.
So you play with this camera, you make these videos, and then all of a sudden, I'm assuming you're leaving education now and it's career time. How do you get into it?
No, not even necessarily. I definitely spent a lot of my 20s not thinking about career at all, sleeping on sofas and living out of a backpack and stuff like that, and travelling around a bit, thinking I might never have a career, never have a family. It was on, you know, whatever it might be, a spiritual path, minimal, you know, very minimalist, kind of not many belongings, and I was like that for a lot in my 20s, to be honest. But I always had a camera. That friend Drew had kind of left his and gone travelling, left me with it, and then I got a second-hand one. So yeah, I was always making bits and pieces, and it was more just of an organic hustle where I would go to gigs or just anywhere really. I always had my camera with me and I'd just make little edits, and then if I'd been to a gig, maybe I'd share that and the artist might see it and like it, and then in time somebody reaches out to me because they know I do a bit of this and that, and then suddenly I'm earning. Before it was a commission, it's probably like an exchange of a bit of dinner, or you know, something exchanging for a bit, and then suddenly a few commissions. And then, built up. Shout out Mark Diath at that point, who you've already mentioned, because he was one of the first people who I respected him, and I knew that he works with loads of artists and he works with lots of creative people, and he's somebody who just said, like, either said directly to me or said to my wife Laura, like, oh, is this what you do? I was like, no, not really, not properly as a living. And he was like, oh, you should, or you could. It's like somebody like that, just a little passing comment. It's like, yeah, Mark Diath thinks I could do this for a living.
I think it's really important though, you know, to get recognised by your audience, and like, have people say, oh, what you're doing is good from friends and stuff, but like, you sometimes need someone to pluck you out and give you your first commission, your first paid graphic design job, your first edit or something, and there's something like, hang on, I just got paid for it. It's actually like, I've got a tangible skill here.
Yeah.
I think that's so important when you're a young person or you're coming into a field, whatever creative field that may be, to get that small reward, whatever that reward might be. 100%. That does give you that confidence. Now, I met you, as I say, a few years ago as a photographer. Now, community agriculture. Can you explain a little bit, what is that concept for those of us that don't know? What does that kind of mean? I'm kind of getting a gist of it, but what is that?
Yeah, so the community supported agriculture, as I said before, there are ways that the community can support the farmer.
Right. How do you encourage people to do it?
I guess it has something to do with marketing and advertising, maybe.
Trails of celeriac. They fly exactly of celeriac, and next thing they know, they're on the farm.
Yeah, I mean, I personally found it maybe similar to sort of your own journey that you mentioned before the show started about, okay, you know, for whatever reason you're thinking about making different lifestyle choices and thinking about what kind of food you're eating. So, you know, I was buying organic food all of a sudden from the supermarket, and then at a certain point I realised, what about local food? And then you look for a local farm. So that's what's nice about community supported agriculture as a model especially, is because at that time when I was just starting to get commissions and working freelance and that creative lifestyle, definitely didn't have a consistent income where I could say I'm going to sign up for a veg box every single week and pay 50, 60 quid for a veg box. But I can go and volunteer a few hours because my hours are here and there as I'm freelance. And so I kind of got into it in that way and realising that, yeah, you can volunteer and you support the farm in that way. You know, the farmer benefits from a bit of labour, obviously, extra hands on deck, and you get to leave with your produce. Or, yeah, you can support the farm by direct debit each month and yeah, two different options.
Did you get like, because you were talking about earlier, you don't know what you're going to get sometimes. So you get really like creative with your cooking, like to work out what you can make from all these different things you're getting.
100%, yeah, definitely, yeah. That's where the creativity has to come into it for sure, yeah. Because some weeks you're getting the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, you've got to spice up that turnip.
Exactly, yeah. Parsnips. At the moment, it's carrots.
It's carrots.
Yeah,
Honestly,
carrots,
I'll do that forever. Like,
really?
If I could just eat parsnips, I'd be well happy.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so
I should have come with gifts. I
Oh,
thought.
mate,
for
yeah,
real?
I should have brought some
do
produce.
you know, I wish the last guest to come with gifts.
yeah, there you go.
Well, I've converted to veggies this week, so yeah, this is quite interesting. So going with your farm, what's the dream for the farm? What you guys want to do with the farm you have now? How do you want to grow this?
Certainly to keep the community supported agriculture element that I've started, to grow that a lot more. I'm on 3 acres, so realistically I could have sort of 50 members, and then that wouldn't be that wouldn't be stretching too much. And then just because I said about how I kind of evolved into this path at a much later stage, and I think, all right, when we were kids, maybe me and my brother, my mum, single mum, would it have been beneficial if we'd known about stuff like this? Could she have sent us out every now and then to go and do a couple hours on the farm and come back with veg? So, I think obviously it would be nice to have more kind of like upskilling, more workshops and more opportunities for people who it's not on the radar for them. People who live in the city, you don't ever see the countryside in Essex or in Suffolk or whatever.
Not.
To have groups of people come and to have more workshop elements and to help it reach people who, otherwise it wouldn't.
And I think encouraging a trade, because a lot of our farm workers we bring from abroad, and working with young people, I always get this. Whenever I ask them about, why would you not go and pick strawberries? Oh, well, I'm not doing that, and I'm not. But I've actually been to strawberry farms where I've taken roots in the and it's quite therapeutic when you're out there in the sun
100%.
and you're growing these fruits, and actually at the end of it, you'll sit down in a picnic and you'll eat them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One for the planet, one for me.
Exactly. That's got to be
That's how it
balanced,
works.
That's how it works, isn't it?
So, I do believe that especially now, moving forward with foods and a lot of people becoming vegan and learning more about the goodness of like growing your own vegetables. And I've got an example. My brother, he's a teacher, and he does cookery. And recently he started to use, my dad died 5 years ago, and Dad was a keen gardener. So my brother's now using that little bit in the garden to grow vegetables and chilies and things that we would never ever have thought of doing before. And I think moving to Essex, where you see a lot of greenery, it does give you that encouragement to think, I'm going to grow my own bit of, coriander or whatever it might be, a little bit of thyme and spices. Are you guys going to be doing things like at any point feeding like soups and stuff, or is that something that you guys do through your cafe? Is that what you?
Soup? What do you mean, like soup kitchens?
Like soup kitchens and things like that.
We haven't. No, it's definitely something that I'd be open to, and but those opportunities haven't necessarily presented themselves, or those connections haven't come just yet. No. It's funny. It's a problem that a lot of farmers do have when you're up and running and you're successful. There will be surplus that you almost don't know how to get rid of. There's definitely like this missing gap between farmers and producers who sometimes will have a glut or have like a more harvest than they can use, and then obviously we know that there are plenty of people who are in need of food. But there's a bit of a missing link. So obviously this is about Essex, but I know that at least in Suffolk there are certain partnerships that are working quite hard to make those connections. Hopefully there are similar things going on in Essex, and hopefully my film and talking about it can help make those connections, because there's definitely something to that.
That's good, though, isn't it? Because the food banks really, like I've worked on food bank projects before, and they really have to have like dry foods and canned foods and things. It's so hard to deal with any fresh food.
Yeah.
So have you got a plan for the connections?
Have I got a
plan?
plan?
This is your next plan,
Definitely, it would be nice, 100%. Yeah, it's important, isn't it? It's definitely quite a strange missing link right there, to think that there's stuff that goes straight into a compost pile when there are people who are hungry and wish that they had some
That's so sad.
produce, let alone organic, let alone local, just produce they'll be grateful for. So. Yeah.
Is it?
We need like reverse county lines where we take like fresh veg into the
Yeah,
city.
nice. I like that. Urban agriculture project. That's a passion for sure.
Is it hard work, Molly, running a farm?
It is, yeah, but good hard work. I think if you're, it's rewarding. Like you say, it's therapeutic.
Do you have any animals on the farm?
I don't at the moment. No, it would be nice to get chickens.
Yeah, I was just
It'd be nice to start with some chickens. Yeah.
In the near future.
Some alpacas.
Some alpacas. Yeah, nice. Yeah, they look fun. They look fun. Running ducks as well.
Oh,
you ever seen those little running ducks? They do good stuff, turn the soil over and things like that, and eat pests apparently. Yeah, they're just like upright, fast running ducks. Yeah.
How many volunteers do you have now? Then how big is it?
So last year I had a few volunteers who would come regularly, very very local. You know, just a handful. But then whenever we do like open days or more sort of social events where you come and you help for a bit, and then you have a fire and you have some food. Yeah, so every time there's been sort of like more than 20 people that will come out and support, which is nice. It's got a nice buzz about it.
Real like community building.
Yeah, real community,
Mate,
all
like
ages as
the
well.
River Cottage like lifestyle.
Nice,
I
I
love
don't
it.
know what that is, but
You know, the Hiruki Fairly Whitting stall, like sort of vibe. You know when you sit on TV and everyone comes together and they
that's how it
this
feels.
stuff and they sit around and they have a fire.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Someone will bust out the fiddle or like an acoustic.
Exactly, this is exactly what it's like. And they're the most rewarding times. Yeah, it does feel like, wow, we're doing some ancient, like people have been doing this for time, for a long time.
Do you know about like wassailing and stuff?
Well, that was the most recent one we had. I didn't know about wassailing, but again, my wife Laura is part of a WhatsApp group called Essex Salad. Shout out to Essex Salad. They've been my most
Essex Salad
WhatsApp group.
Legends.
It might be a bit of an exclusive thing. Everybody might be trying to join. But, so they have. I haven't had to lift a finger. They've organised the last couple of sort of like socials at Bantu Farm. They've come and helped me do a few really important tasks. And then, everybody does exactly what you said. Gets out some instruments. Yeah. Everybody brings some food.
Did you have a wassail then?
Yeah, wassail. Yeah, because I'm on an orchard
go.
surrounded by 75 acres of organic orchard. And we've got a little community orchard on my plot as well. So they did the wassail and blessed the trees on the community orchard, and then they went and toured around the whole bigger orchard.
And here's a little Essex big up. Blur, once on one of their B-sides, they did a wassailing song.
No way.
Yeah, they actually recorded the version of the wassailing song.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so cool. So you can bust that one out. Get the indie wassail going.
Oh, cool. Those kind of ceremonies and like rituals and things that people did, again, that's part of the connection to the land, isn't it? That's part of what's so beautiful about it.
And I think that's so good for mental health as well, like slowing down, because, when you're like celebrating the seasons and you're looking at wassail and then growing and springtime, you can't hurry. You can't hurry food growing, right?
True.
Yeah, and do you find that, because you're talking about the mental health benefits of getting out and picking and being in the field and things like that, but also like just growing things.
Yeah.
Just seeing that incremental change every day.
100%, yeah. But yeah, it's simple little things like that, but yeah, it has a profound effect for sure.
I love it.
Did you have to learn a lot then around setting up the farm? So I guess, like the water, the agriculture, the actual bit of planting these things, because in my simple head, I'm looking at it as, we buy some seeds, we plant it, and then it grows. But I'm sure running a farm is a lot more technical than...
Yeah, it is a lot more technical, and as I've said at the start of this, I've launched that project at the same time as like the community cafe, and then shortly after I had Zeki, my son, and so it's been a busy time. So my farm is probably about 10% as productive as it should be at the moment. Genuinely,
You've grown a lot of mud.
Yeah. Second season is like, wow, I need to really scale this up, otherwise it's
But how do you do that? Like in this country where we've got weather like the way we have, what's the game plan for weather day, like when the weather changes?
Yeah, so the experience and that kind of how do you learn you're talking about. I was at Benison Farm for 5 years. Right. So I was there, I started off 25,000 onions come in the spring and need to be hand planted, and that was the first time the farmer offered me some paid work from just where I'd been volunteering in exchange for my veg bag. It was like, do you want a few days paid? We've got all these onions to plant. So then
how
you're
many
doing
onions?
25,000 all planted by hand.
What? That's
so
like
you're in the field
dream.
all day.
And by hand?
Little tiny little onion sets out of a bucket, just all day.
Yeah, mate. And I'll tell you what, you work in the strawberry field. You don't want to have an onion every day.
No, exactly. No. You got to wait a long time for the rewards to harvest those.
Yeah, amazing.
How long does it take for an onion to grow then?
So it's about 4 months, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, like my ones this year, I started harvesting them after a few months because I was giving them small with the green tops, like green onions, like fresh. But yeah, obviously you can let them get much bigger and harvest them and dry them and then give them later on through the season, give them through the winter months.
My favourite veg onions.
Oh, really?
Eat them
Yeah.
raw,
Nice.
cooked, you name it, I can chop an onion.
All right,
Wow,
Shrek.
nice.
It goes with everything.
I'll tell you what, Nick, we'll get Marley on again. He'll bring me a bag of parsnips
Yes.
and you'll
Yeah,
sack of
I'll
onions.
definitely bring some produce.
Yeah, that's sick. This is such a crazy episode because, we're talking about like half agriculture, half filming, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's, that multifaceted thing of being creative and just finding interesting things and interesting projects. I just want to talk about your film getting the funding because I think this is really great. Like this Essex County Council have done this extraordinary Essex
Yeah.
thing where loads of different artists could apply. I don't know how many artists got funded.
No, I don't. No, well, only one got. I was the only person to get funded, which is insane. It's like, wow, that's crazy. I was really. I mean, we were very late hearing back. We were expecting to hear at the start of September. And obviously when I didn't hear, I just assumed, that would have been very competitive. It was fun to apply for. Maybe I can make the project happen somewhere else. And I totally just released it. And then right at the end of September, I got an email. And I read the email initially, thought just doing the polite kind of, unfortunately. And then I went back and read it properly from the beginning and said to Laura, I can't believe I've got the Extraordinary Essex Commission.
Was it, because I know, part of, being a creative and being an artist, filling in forms and doing admin is like the absolute antithesis of anything creative. Was it quite difficult to do this funding process? I've never done it.
No.
I don't understand it.
No, not at all. I also had never done it. Didn't understand it until I met again Laura. Shout out my wife Laura. She introduced me to all of that. The concept was brand new to me. It was like the idea that you can have a good idea, present that idea, and if somebody, people like it, they can fund you, and then you can bring it to life. That's alien to me. I thought you had to use what you had, make something happen, and then maybe people will buy it after.
It shows you the strength of an idea, though, because even when I read like your one sentence description of the film, I was like, I'm bought in.
Oh, nice.
I love this.
Nice.
It feels fresh and important as well.
Oh, cool. So sometimes they are quite difficult, and obviously a lot of the time me and Laura were sitting and writing them together because we worked together a lot, and I was often supporting her. So two of you bouncing your ideas back and forth. In this case, I was at one of my favourite local coffee shops, Manningtree Arts in Manningtree. Part of the studio at Cuckoo Farm Studios means that obviously all the other artists are sending links and saying, there's this new commission, this might be useful. So I'd seen that in the Cuckoo Farm list, read all about it, Extraordinary Essex. It wasn't a brand new idea to me. All of these ideas and this bringing together of my film and also my involvement in community support agriculture, this whole concept was there already. So more or less in one inspired session, I just typed everything that was in my mind out to a project proposal, budget breakdown, and sent it off. And so it was really good. Sometimes you do work really hard and it is a laborious process, and then initially you're kind of attached as well when you put a proposal in and you're like, I really want this. Whereas now I've kind of matured into like releasing it. Once you've sent it, you release it.
Oh, okay. You can't be heartbroken when it comes.
No, not at all.
Because often you're not getting rejected because it's not it's not a good project. I suppose it's because it's not exactly what they were looking for to fulfil at the time or something.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that is that extraordinary. I do not know anything about this secret world of like community supported agriculture. It's amazing, but I know it's not like secret. It's like but you're like get away.
Yeah.
But it's
The side.
But living in the city as well. Just it feels about. I know about the allotments at the end of the road.
Cool.
I know someone who's got an apiary.
Right.
Down the. But really, I don't know about where to get this food from, or how to get stuck in.
Yeah, the allotment projects are cool as well. I think the inner city kind of growing options, allotments are cool. I'm featuring some allotments as well. I think it can be a really healthy relationship between the city centre, where it's like the densest populated areas, but then the least green space, and then you've got the rural areas where obviously there's an abundance. And I think, again, not maybe being a bit idealistic and thinking about sort of designing for the future, which is what permaculture is about, really. It's about considering design principles to how do we want society to be for the future. And, the idea that the people who live in the city could support the people who live on the outskirts in the rural areas, and the food can come directly as often as possible from just on the outskirts. This whole relationship that could be there. Instead of...
We're talking about the parsnips county lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right. We're back to the county lines.
We're going to call it country lines.
Nice. Oh, man.
Love it.
Yeah, cool.
So, when you're looking at stuff that's in more urban centres and stuff, like what's the smallest projects you're looking at for your film?
So far, I've featured a brilliant organisation called Level Best. They are a social enterprise who work with both young adults, well, young people and adults with learning disabilities and like lifestyle and work experiences. So they have a really nice cafe in Colchester City Centre, but they also have an allotment in Colchester.
Nice representing it as a city there.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny how used to that I am now, to be honest. Yeah, I've been saying it. Yeah, it comes up rolls off the tongue now.
There's too many cities in this thing. So
Colchester City Centre.
So
yeah, their allotment has been the smallest so far. I went to their allotment and then went back to the cafe with them, and they've got a nice kitchen upstairs where they prepare all their jams and chutneys. So they were making chutney, I guess, out of apples, and so yeah, it's like filming that process of. This time of year, there's not an awful lot of exciting stuff going on the farms or at the allotments or in the gardens. Obviously, a lot of stuff is asleep. So it was more about capturing them there and then going back to level best and watching this process of sort of like chutney making. And
I love it. And how long is your film going to be when you finish it?
in my mind, I think probably give or take from 40 minutes is what I've got mine 40.
See,
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm listening to this, and I just want to watch a YouTube series of this. Like,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
I want, like slow TV. I'd
Nice.
You know, like just to chill out. But Clarkson's fun for nice people. No, I'm sure Clarkson's
I like
fun for
country
right.
lines. I'm going to roll with that.
I like that, country
lines would
lines.
be the evolution.
Yes.
The slow thing that you spoke about that's exactly what I feel, because I think any videos that you've seen that Mark's shown you and the work that I was doing when I first met you, almost everything that I've done to get to this point has been more or less orientated for social media.
Yeah.
So all your clients, everybody that you're collaborating with.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about, rotating it so it's portrait, and often it's about like chopping it up, snapping it up, and it's for this short attention span. So that's what, sort of most of my portfolio is that, really, to be fair. So that's why it's even more respect and grateful to Essex County Council that they believed in it, and then now I have the opportunity to make something slower, something more cinematic. It's like I don't have a massive resume of making this kind of project. So the fact that they've backed me, because I know that that's kind of probably more natural to me, the cinematic, the slow, with the soundtrack. But I've got so used to.
And that's like your aura though as well. Like you do seem like
Right.
considered and
nice one.
like gentle as well.
Nice one.
So I can imagine that coming through in the edit. So it's a bit like when you look at what the algorithm wants, right? And the Netflix algorithm and robots decide what we all want. They want the snappier edits and they want this and that and that. I remember when was the Paul Whitehouse and Bob Mortimer fishing show came out. They've got a fishing program, and suddenly it was just two blokes just sat by a river having a nice chat about male things,
Right.
and health, and it was absolutely the opposite of what everything said you should make, and it ends up being the biggest hit. I can't remember what it's called. Gone fishing. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
That rings a bell.
But I think there's such a place for consuming media in a way that it makes you calm as well. And I just want to watch your film now.
Nice one.
I listen to forest sounds all
nice,
the time,
great.
at work. I'd love to be in the chill space.
Oh,
You got to stop. You got to stop sometimes and slow down.
100%, yeah.
That is amazing.
I think it's good for the creative brain as well.
Absolutely.
Doing nothing or being slow sometimes. You have your best ideas like when you're sort of distracted and you can't keep forcing it and going go.
True. We definitely need both, don't we?
Yeah, you've got to balance it out 100%. I'm a go, and all that's never me at the end
Yeah,
of
but
the
you
year.
need a back brace.
Yeah, exactly. I need to go to the farm and relax.
Yeah.
But I look forward to coming up there.
Yeah,
I know
great.
you guys are in Suffolk. It's not really that far, is it? It's
No,
on the other
it's
side.
literally just that, right
Other
the first
bit.
village and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can I'm going to say that we're going to have a new rule on the podcast. If you can chuck a potato back over the county border.
Nice.
But Marley's born and bred Colchester.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
That
Me
is
too as well. We're both Colchester projects. I think Colchester is one of the most creative places. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, nowadays I agree. I mean, I went
so.
through my period of thinking it's the worst place ever and wanting to get away, and obviously I think that was obviously important for me in my journey. Sometimes you move away and you realise what you have and maybe take for granted, and then even in more recent years it's thinking, okay, do we move to a place like Bristol where it's really popping and you're part of a really vibrant scene? But actually it's quite nice being part of Colchester, because I agree with what you're saying, it is creative and the scene is definitely kind of like bubbling up, I think, and it's exciting to be somebody who's right
part
in the mix
of the
of
popping.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine 5-10 years when they come back and go, they want to farm up there.
Yeah.
That's a popping place
Exactly.
to be.
I like
and
that,
you guys have created that,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, because I always watch your videos. I've got a lot of respect for your wife.
Bless you, thanks.
She's an amazing woman. She's done so much.
Can we talk about it? I don't know your wife.
Oh, Laura Aziz. For
Yeah,
anybody
Laura
that
Aziz.
doesn't know
Tell us about
Laura.
Laura. Let's bring up Laura. Let's give her a bit of airtime.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, she introduced me to this whole world, really, like I say, and Mark Diath and everything. She works at the Chelmsford City Council with Mark Diath for a long time. You know, literally, learning from him every day and being alongside him. And then she went freelance, and her company, Weird Flora. Weird is spelled like WYRD.
Yeah,
Flora.
old school.
Yeah, old school, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, Green
magic.
Man.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know. And she was sort of like leading nature walks, and she refers to herself as a wildcrafter. So she forages and takes things from the natural environment and shows people how to make inks or paints or pigments and things that you can use in your creative practice. She just kind of like channels her character when she's out doing those things, and it's like a performance, and
I
really,
love that.
really great.
So it's really like digging through the archives and finding like medieval practices.
Yeah,
and things like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, one of her walnut ink recipes was exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, walnut ink, that's like, it's really super permanent, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I've heard
yeah.
about that. My dad used to be like, don't blow those walnuts. Don't blow, you get everything, you would never get off.
the tannins.
Yeah.
So that was my
Laura's
introduction.
done it actually from car parks.
Really?
She's taken
she's
groups of
urban.
women down there, and she's done foraging. She's looked at whatever the plants are, and I've seen her videos, and I
Yeah.
know the women she's been with. And she's actually ended up making herbal stuff and herbal bits right there on the spot.
Man, she
Absolutely
just think
amazing.
she would have been like burnt as a witch. Back in the days.
100%.
And, you know, we are going to talk. At some point, I want to get the Essex Witch Museum in here. But you know, like
nice.
it's amazing, like
Yeah.
that people, you know, just all that foraging and herbology, and even making an ink out of walnut. You'd be like, oh, look at the witch.
Yeah.
It's mad,
And
isn't
knowing
it?
that
Crazy.
you can survive.
Huh?
You know, like someone like me who doesn't go foraging.
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a veggie person or a green person, but now just realising, like watching all these projects over the last few years, and realising, well, actually, if all these shops did shut down tomorrow, we could probably survive on what's out there.
Do you think so? We've got Molsham Lodge Community Trust opposite us, and they've got some little boxes where they grow stuff. That would be pillaged within 1 minute. You know, that's it. And then what we're going to be doing, you know?
We'll have to get there first.
Hunt an alpaca up at the farm, and then what have we got to like alpaca and apple stew? That's what we can get from there.
Double A.
If they're in season, yeah, loaf coats. Yeah, they've got some
love
pigs and 2 bunnies. I don't know. They'll be gone by 11 a.m. Foraging gets so boring like during the winter. There's not much going on, is there? Like eat a twig.
Yeah, there's some
Well.
greens. That's the surprising thing. Yeah, sometimes you can get nutritious greens and
Yeah.
stuff like that, chickweed and things that high
But then
nutrient.
like springtime. Whoa, come on, let's go foraging. It's mad,
Yeah, exactly.
crazy.
What do you do? How did you guys come about this? Are you allowed to talk about that or not? Is it strictly guest focused? Like, I'm quite intrigued
mate,
about
we can talk about it.
how
It's-
this connection happened and what you do.
Yeah, well, do you know what's up? It's like creativity, right? You know, sometimes you just meet someone with the same energy to do something.
Right.
And me and Sankita was running the bar at Ignite, which is the Chelmsford sort of, Marley sort of runs this Chelmsford thing to promote creativity in the area. Me and Sankita always just used to have such a good laugh and a chat, and it's just that same energy. It's like positive energy.
Nice.
And Sankita said she wasn't creative, and she hadn't done anything creative. And I was like, well, we're going to change that, and like, this is the creative project.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And it's so, what's interesting, I was like, well, Sankita, we're going to meet loads of different creative people and see where like your creative energy lies. And actually, Sankita's creative energy is being a connector,
Yeah.
you know, and a supporter
Nice.
for things, and bringing people together as well.
Nice.
So, you know, it's not actually like being a painter or a musician, like everyone thinks about being creative stuff, but, you know, connector's creative as well.
100%.
Because you've got to make all those connections and think, oh, that person could do that with that person. Put people together. And actually, they're often the unsung hero of a creative
sure,
project.
yeah.
You need a Svengali. You know, like a Svengali in the background, doing things, putting people together, bringing people together. And, you know, Sangeeta is brilliant at that. She's like the chef.
Nice.
Plant the
Thank
seeds.
you.
I like that, and I think that's just exactly how it was, because I didn't see myself as a creative, or
Yeah,
even as a organisation, as New Generation Development Agency. I didn't think we were creative.
Oh, wow.
But we organise festivals. We work with young people. We're doing art displays. So actually, we're creative, and I
Yeah.
think what's been really good about the podcast and doing these things, it's meeting those different creatives, and that's why it makes it a little bit of fun where I've got to guess who the guests
Nice.
are and what their creatives might be.
Yeah.
I don't always get it wrong though. I've got a majority
I know,
right, I
you're
reckon.
good, you're good,
And I'm
but-
pretty good, you know.
But I think you're goofy as well when you do your youth clubs and stuff. You're doing creative projects with people. You know,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
young people were learning how to
Yeah.
podcast as well.
Yeah,
You know,
Nice.
learning how to set up this equipment.
yeah.
How
Right.
to produce a podcast. How to even think about a thematic. Think what their podcast's going to be about.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if people don't commit to it or whatever. They just try one or two. They've had that experience, and they can always come back to it. Remember what it was like when you were young. I mean, you were committed to football, but like me, like I was this one week, that the next week.
Right.
But all those skills you pick up, they always come back useful.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
at some point, you're like a little Swiss Army knife of creativity.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And I know about 1% of foraging. But I'd love to talk about foraging now.
Right.
It's so
Yeah.
fun just knowing all those little bits and pieces
Sure.
and bringing all those nuggets together.
And I
What do you
wasn't
do?
interested in foraging until I saw the videos.
Oh, cool.
And when
Okay.
I saw how much fun they had,
Yeah,
just
nice.
in a car park,
Yeah.
that was like, no, it didn't. And then I had community leaders come back and go, oh, yes, it was. And it was so much fun, Sangita. And it was like, wow.
Yeah,
So
cool.
watching that journey, that went from Chelmsford, little car park, then all the way to Colchester. And then
Yeah.
Laura's done some amazing walks,
Yeah.
hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's done a very long
Yeah, Saffron Trail was
You
part of the
done that
Essex
as
Book
well,
Fest.
didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! And actually, like picking stuff up as they're going through.
Yeah, Saffron Trail, like 70 miles, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
They walked it all.
Really,
Yeah.
Saffron
foraging
Mile,
along
Foraging along
with
the
a
way,
baby
yeah.
and a papoose.
No, the baby,
wasn't
not
in
around
there, was
then.
it?
But that won't stop her. Laura will be taking on those kind of projects, I'm
Yeah.
sure, with it.
Yeah.
with
Oh, I
baby
love that. Yeah, the
papoose.
baby just nibbling some
Yeah.
new young hawthorn leaves in
Yeah.
the back there.
Yeah, exactly.
100%, yeah.
What's the difference between Culture Essex and Essex County Council? How does that work?
Shout out Culture Essex, James Ravenette and
Exactly.
Elza and Andy. They've been great to work with, and that's who I know, Culture Essex, that team of those three people, and same as what you were just saying about having creative people everywhere and behind the scenes and facilitating things, and that's exactly the case with those guys. It's been a pleasure to work with them.
So you actually applied to them for?
No, I mean the application was the Essex County Council. I didn't realise that it would be James and Andrew, people who I've been commissioned by in the past as part of the Arts and Cultural Fund. Me and Laura had some funds from them before. So after I'd sent the application, Laura said, "Oh, that'll be James and Andrew." I didn't realise that, but obviously it went to a committee which was beyond just those guys. It was Essex County Council.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly who was on the committee making the decision. So yeah, I mean, every now and then I'll send like a blog or send some stuff to Culture Essex,
Yeah.
and they will then forward that on to whoever the marketing team at Essex County Council.
I mean, we love Culture Essex. I think those are good things. We had AJ Grand Scrutton on before from Delala Studios. He's a cultural ambassador.
Oh
He
wow!
comes with a Ferrero Rocher.
Wow, nice.
But I think they are doing like great things to
Great
communicate. I
things.
think Beans on Toast has become like a musician and poet guy. So
Yeah.
a cultural ambassador. I think me and Sangeeta are probably future ambassadors. We've probably been earmarked, haven't we? Probably
Yeah,
like on the
no
long
doubt.
list
Of course,
somewhere.
of course.
No doubt.
Marley as well. I really want. Can you imagine being a cultural ambassador? It'd be so cool. The respect you get.
That does sound like yeah.
Can you check into hotels with it, like Ambassador Nick, and cultural ambassador to Essex? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that sounds important.
I'm running the parsnips into London every day. Well, I can't remember how it goes now.
Alright,
So
I'm gonna check
it's
it out.
like it's the least Blur song you'll ever hear. The least
Wow.
Blur song.
Oh, interesting.
It's really weird.
Yeah,
Like Alex
their
Jones-
connection to the
yeah.
land come through.
Yeah, Alex Jones must have been on one.
Right.
Yeah, but he went off and he's got his farm now, making
Okay.
cheese.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not in Essex though. Traitor.
Oh, shame. Could have featured that.
Straight up.
That's not much shit.
Exactly. No, he's gone in the West Country, hasn't he, with all the poshos? Like,
Right, I see.
like making his cheese and stuff. It's alright.
At some point, we'll have an epiphany and move back to good old Essex.
Yeah, we've got his champagne as well.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we've got it at home. It's got the best name for champagne ever. It's called Britpop.
Brilliant.
Britpop.
It's
Brilliant,
so
yeah.
good. I love it.
Nice.
It's such a wicked name for a product. I love it. I love a good pun. So, a traitor. He wasn't even from Essex, was he?
Oh, was he not?
No, I think it was Damon Alburn and
Yeah.
Dave Roundtree. So yeah, it's
Okay.
alright. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, even more so.
Big up Stanway Comprehensive.
Yeah.
My cousin went there. He was in the class with Damon. So, yeah, that's going to be a weird aside. It's just going to pop up like in a little section. It's just like, let's talk about culture Essex. All right, let's talk about Alex James being an Essex traitor. So I've gone mad now.
It's the sales song.
It's past his bedtime now, Marley.
It's the witching house.
Yeah, 100%.
It's when I turn into a werewolf and go mad.
Oh,
So, have you got any, I love the story about you getting your first camera and making these edits and stuff and, you just borrowing off your mate. Have you got any tips for young people making films as well?
Yeah.
or wanting to get into
wanting to get into it.
Yeah, I think you definitely got to either start with what you have or start as cheap as possible. Go to cash converters or somewhere where you can just get a second-hand camera. Don't just get the most accessible thing you can, and
So
then
minimum viable product, right? So
yeah, I mean,
whatever you've got, make stuff with it.
probably this day and age, if you're passionate about that, then you're probably already doing quite a lot on your phone, most likely. So that would be the most basic next step, I guess, wouldn't it? To go from everybody can do it on their phones, and then you just get a professional camera just to challenge myself. Yeah. And then find the cheapest one you can, and
so you could get like a free app like CapCut or like InShot or something, and just edit your phone stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Start with everything free, and then as soon as you feel like leveling up and investing in something else, then just build from there, basically. But I think it's obviously if you put if you've got like a dream camera or you've done a bit of research and think, I need this, and this to get started, then that's definitely the wrong way to start, in my opinion. Just start with what's accessible.
Just move forward.
You'll soon find out if you love it.
Yeah.
You'll either sit and spend, be up at 3 a.m. editing a video and thinking, I'm never doing this again, this is long, or you'll be in the zone and everybody else is asleep and you're loving it and thinking, maybe this is what I need to be doing.
And get that fast feedback as well, because I think, don't perfect everything. Spend age perfecting, get something done, then move on, learn from it, and move on and put your learnings into the next thing.
Yeah, that sounds
good. And then finally you get to make your absolute masterpiece. Masterpiece
nice.
of your slow country lines parsnips.
The
journey of the parsnips.
I love that.
Country lines.
Yeah.
When's your film? What's your deadline?
We've got March 17th for the first showing at the Commons Cafe in Colchester.
So it's full circle. It's going back to your cafe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's nice.
And then I think I read on Culture Essex they want to tour it around the county.
Yeah, that's it. There are some plans in place to tour it, and there's some festivals that might be interested.
Fantastic.
I feel like there should be an Ignite special or something.
Ignite would
There
be
probably
cool.
will
Yeah,
be.
that's a nice idea. Plant that seed. Nice one.
Yeah.
And an exhibition as well.
So I'm actually a cultural partner for Chelmsford.
Oh, there you go.
I can pull a few strings.
Yeah, please do.
Can I say I used to be until I got too busy? No, I'm joking.
You can't do it all. And there's an exhibition as well at Cliffy Farm Studios in April. I'm just making the most of the fact that I'm a studio holder there, and it's quite a well-known studio. So it will be various artefacts from the process of making the film. I might have some of these sort of extended interviews and stuff maybe on a screen. I might show the full film on a screen as well. And then just going to be a good excuse to take some really old rusty farm material in and put it in the middle of the gallery.
You have to get that call it like health and safety.
I don't know, it's hard.
Leave that to Laura.
Make sure you get your tetanus jab before you go there. Like all this rusty farm equipment around.
Stuff like that. Maybe some stills, maybe some photos that I like from the project as well, and just make the most of it and making it.
Invite some bees down.
Invite some bees. Invite a local band. Yeah.
They get Blur along to do the West song.
Do you have a website?
My own personal videography and filmmaking stuff is via the Cookie Farm website. So my profile on Cookie Farm. In terms of this project, the film Culture Essex, probably the best place to go to read more about the project. There is still time. I think by the time this comes out, if people hear it and think, I want to be featured in that, or they know of a project that could feature, I'm going to be probably quite sort of intense for getting as much more filming in as I can, and also editing as I go and starting to transition to creating a final edit out of it. Yeah.
Have you got any bees?
We haven't at my Bantu farm. No, we haven't.
Any bees in the documentary?
No. I haven't.
You know, Chelmsford Museum's got an apiary.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the cafe's called the Hive. And they've got an apiary there. And they've got their own little beehive, and you can watch the bees and stuff. It's really interesting. I don't know what they do with the honey. Is it in the cafe? Do they?
I'll reach out to them.
I'll
reach out to them. 100%. See if they want to feature.
It's really interesting. Like the kids love going and watching it. Because they mark the queen bee, and kids can go and watch it and find the queen bee.
It's all like in this little glass thing.
Right.
They've got a little hole in the wall that you can see the bees coming out of. It's really cute.
And the way
Oh.
they've built it so that the bees, they come in and out the building.
Wow, that sounds like...
But just definitely go and have a look.
Yeah, nice visual.
And they've actually got a stuffed bear. They've got a stuffed bear at the bottom of the stairs. I think that's to warn other bears away from the apiary.
I see.
You know, to stop them. Like if Winnie the Pooh's got any ideas about getting honey, no, there's a stuffed bear to warn him off. And I think they've got a bear skin. They've got a bear skin in the Essex Regiment Museum as well. I think like they've got them covered off at both staircases.
Wow.
That's well protected.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
But in this community that supported agriculture on film, do you think film, these sort of film projects are a great way to strengthen communities and get more people encouraged to join in as well?
Yeah, I hope so. It's hard. Yeah, it's difficult to be too attached to the outcome or how different people might respond to it. But yeah, I suppose that's my hope really, that people might see it and become more aware of these kinds of things. I think that's my task as a filmmaker, is to make something that's visually pleasing, that's engaging, that is enjoyable to sit and watch, but also gets people thinking and more aware of certain things that are happening and intrigued as well.
I think that's fascinating actually, because it is about making something that's good to watch and actually entertainment, but changes your opinion as well, and that's what a good documentary should do, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's nice. I haven't delved into the world of totally abstract art or creativity yet. I think most of what I do is based on real life and people, and maybe has some element of emotion to it. So I think that's what I'm going to be trying to get across, and hopefully people will respond to it and there'll be a boom, more community supported agricultural farms and more people thinking, I'm going to grow some tomatoes in the garden.
It's so nice to meet you, Marley.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you for your time.
And you are going to roll out the brown muddy carpet for me and Sangria VIP, right? At the screening?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll bring our wellies.
For sure.
We'll bring our willies.
You got wellies?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so let's get our wellies on. Thanks so much, Marley. And thanks for listening again to Are You Creative Podcast with me, Nick, and Sangeeta from City Sound. Thank you very much, City Sound. Thank you very much, NGDA, New Generation Development Agency. Thank you very much, Essex Council. And Culture Essex will put us in touch with Marley, which is really nice.
Thanks for having me.
I couldn't get his email address.
You should have told me.
Yeah, well, I couldn't. Sangeeta. I may know everyone. And yes, follow us on @r.u.creative.podcast on Instagram, and I think that's all.
Yeah.
Say bye bye.
Thank you.
Ban the celeriac.
Hey!
Amazing.
I love it.